All right, guys. Hey, I'll wait a second here. I'll actually let a few people come in. As a matter of fact, hang on. I'm going to share this video real quick. Let me find my other phone. Hey, what's up, Don? El Diablo? ¿Cómo estás? Stand by a second. Stand by a second. Whoops. Shoot. So, what I'm not going to talk about today in this video is really about all the other stuff. I'm going to be talking about mostly the complaint itself, and I'm going to go through the complaint. It's about 8 pages. 5 pages. Okay, well, whatever. 8 and 5. And it's actually kind of shocking in the way that they're wording it, because it's almost as if the complaint defeats itself. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that as we go along. I just want to share this real quick with on my Facebook and stuff. All right. So, I'll tell you here's my personal beliefs about all this. So what's interesting is ever since Kenosha went on fire, I have been sort of rabidly, because I haven't had much to do. I came back to law school early because I had to come early because I was coming from a state, Texas, with a lot of COVID issues. And so I had to be here 14 days early just to make sure that I was fine. Um, and so I haven't really had much to do except for ride my bike and clean up my apartment and get other things figured out. And so when this whole Kenosha thing kicked off, I had been watching, actually, I was watching a lot of the Portland videos of all the looting and rioting and stuff going on in Portland. And that sort of migrated over to Kenosha. And so I was watching all of the live streams, and I was literally up every day from, or until like 2, 3, sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning. But the night of of the shooting just a couple nights ago, I literally stayed up till 6 o'clock in the morning watching all of the live streams going on. I actually watched that live, what was going on with the Kyle thing. And Kyle, earlier in the day, before it got dark, earlier in the day, him and others were, hang on to your questions there, Warsaw. Him and others were actually out there scrubbing graffiti off of buildings and cleaning up the streets and all that kind of stuff, doing really good work. And then later in the night, it became really bad. And the reason I was up so late was because I was trying to download as many videos as I possibly could after the shooting happened, because I was like, holy cow, they're going to try and wipe this clean. And I wanted to make sure I had copies of everything, because I had seen everything that was going on. I was literally watching on my computer screen like various feeds at the same time. I think I had 4 or 5 feeds at the same time, and I would sort of click which ones I wanted to listen to based on what they were doing. CJTV was one of the big ones that I was watching all day. And so I've been watching this whole thing happen and unfold and going over the videos over and over and over again. And so I will tell you where I stand on this. And quite frankly, where I stand on this is that it was obviously, as Tricky Woo says, this was a case of self-defense. This is a case where somebody whose life was threatened did so. And what's interesting, I've been arguing with libtards and socialists and communists and Marxists about all of this. And, the argument is always, well, if he hadn't brought a gun, okay, well, we can keep going there, but let's back that up. And when you ask the obvious questions to the left, the people who think that Kyle was wrong, when you actually force them to think, they shut down. And so, okay, let's talk about the fact that he had a gun. Why did he have a gun? Okay, well, he was protecting businesses. That's what he was doing. Oh yeah, but but lives are more important than businesses. Okay, well, if your life is more important than a business, leave the business alone so you don't lose your life. It's that simple. Nobody would lose their life if they weren't breaking the law. Nobody would lose their life if they weren't looting. Nobody would lose their life if they weren't setting things on fire. Nobody would lose their life if they weren't blowing things up. Nobody would lose their life if they weren't assaulting people. Nobody would lose their life if they weren't being criminal thugs. Okay, that's where it starts. It starts with the criminality. Okay? The reason there are people out there with guns is because there are people out there destroying cities. And Americans are fed up with it, okay? That's one of the things. The next thing is that, Kyle crossed. He's not even from Wisconsin. What was he doing there? That's a funny argument. Because, and I'm going to give you why that's a funny argument. First of all, isn't it funny that apparently only the left, it's okay for the left to cross state borders and even be from outside of the city, like miles and miles away, even further than Kyle, to destroy cities that they don't live in, but it's not okay to defend cities you don't live in. That's sort of the hypocrisy of the left. And then you've got the thing about him being 17. This is going to be the most problematic, I think, but also I think a good attorney is going to be able to get around that as well. Now, I want to get into the complaint, okay? So the complaint was released today. It's 5 pages. It's been filed in the state of Wisconsin Circuit Court. I do not know whether or not he has been extradited from Illinois to Wisconsin yet, but that doesn't matter because I'm just going to go over the complaint today. Count 1, and then I'm going to go into the narrative. So I'm going to go over the accounts, and then I'm going to go into the narratives. And I'm sorry, let me see if I can. Hang on, I'm going to turn off my notifications here. I just got a new phone, so hopefully that's okay. Oh crap! What did I do? I just touched something on my computer. All right, there we go. So I'm going to go through the counts and then I'm going to go through the narrative because that's the way the criminal complaint is laid out. So he's charged with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counts. So he's got 6 charges. Oh, that's my other phone. I guess I need to shut that thing down too. Sorry, let me mute everything. There we go. There we go. 6 charges. The first charge is first-degree reckless homicide, and this is kind of interesting because one guy's charged with reckless homicide for killing one guy, and then intentional homicide for killing the other. That doesn't really. I don't quite understand that. And yes, I did see that. He does have a really good lawyer right now, and I'm telling you, he doesn't even. I would say I'm glad he's got a good lawyer because he's got the same guy that defended Nicholas Sandmann, but I don't think he's going to need a good lawyer. You just need a lawyer. I think, he could, if he was older than 17 and had a little bit of experience, he could probably defend this himself, but I wouldn't want to do that with murder charges. So the first-degree reckless homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. So he's charged with first-degree reckless homicide for the death of Joseph Rosenbaum. So that's the first guy that he killed. And as you know, it says, under circumstances which show utter disregard for human life, it's a Class B felony, and upon conviction may be sentenced to a term of imprisonment not to exceed 60 years, and because the defendant committed the offense while using a dangerous weapon, that's extended out and can be increased another 5 years. So he's facing up to 65 years in prison for the first count for killing Rosenbaum. And I'll talk about who these people are here in just a second. The second count is first degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon. And so he's charged with this, says did recklessly endanger the safety of Richard McGinnis. Again, I'll talk about who he is, which shows an utter disregard for human life, a Class F felony. So now we've got a Class B felony and a Class F felony. And upon conviction may be fined not more than $25,000 or imprisoned not more than 12 years and 6 months or both. And then because he used it with a deadly weapon, again, a 5-year add-on there. The third count, first degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. This is intentional homicide, not reckless homicide. And this is because he caused the death of Anthony M. Huber with intent to kill that person, a Class A felony, and upon conviction shall be sentenced to imprisonment for life and plus 5 years because he used a dangerous weapon. And I'll tell you who Anthony Huber is. The next one is count 4, attempt, first degree intentional homicide. So this is attempt, first degree intentional homicide. The above named defendant attempted to cause the death of Gage Grosskreutz with intent to kill that person, a Class B felony, and upon conviction, here's another 60 years plus 5 for the dangerous weapon. The fifth count is first degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon. And for this count, he said he did recklessly endanger the safety of an unknown male under the circumstances which show disregard for human life. It's a Class F felony, another $25,000 in 12 years. So we're up to 120 years, 144 plus 20, so 164, 165 with the 2 6-month time frames on there, and then you add all the other, so 170 years now is what we're up to, plus the life term. And then count 6, possession of a deadly weapon by a person under 18. So he did in the city of Kenosha, Wisconsin, being a person under the age of 18, did go armed with a dangerous weapon, which is a Class A misdemeanor, and a conviction is $10,000 or imprisonment for not more than 9 months or both. All right. Now let's get into the narrative, and this is what's interesting. So you've heard the charges. We've got reckless homicide, intentional homicide, attempted intentional homicide, reckless endangerment, first degree reckless endangerment, and then first degree recklessly endangering safety, and then the weapons charge for being under 18. So they go through this narrative, and I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to pause because this is very interesting. Very interesting. No, I don't think he stole it from his parents because, from what I'm hearing, his mom drove him to Kenosha. But I don't understand why a 17-year-old would have his mom drive him. I don't know. So nobody really knows. Here we go. On August 25th, 2020, at 8 p.m. curfew had been imposed east of I-94 in Kenosha County due to civil unrest. On August 25th at approximately 11:45 p.m., a shooting occurred at Car Source, which is located in the northwest corner of 63rd and Sheridan, blah, blah, blah. The man who was shot at this location was identified as Joseph Rosenbaum. Now, Rosenbaum, so he was transferred to a hospital where a doctor declared him to be deceased. And here's what's really interesting about this. First of all, Rosenbaum is a pedophile. Okay, now, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things what someone's... I mean, no one deserves to be shot for their past, okay? If someone's going to get shot, their past doesn't matter. He got shot for what happened that night, okay? The fact that he did have all of this stuff and that he was a pedophile and all of that just makes the killing icing on the cake for me. So the fact that he got shot for what he did that night, and we just got rid of a douchebag in society who was a repeat offender. And if you saw the videos of this guy talking prior, I mean, it sounded like a freaking skin-headed racist as well. So now we have one less kitty fucker there in society. And there's a sick picture. I mean, the liberal media is bending over backwards to make these people look like saints. And knowing that he's a pedophile, and they're showing these nice... Look at, here's Joseph Rosenbaum. He's kissing his little girl. Oh, look at this father-daughter tender moment. And you're like, holy cow, that gives me shivers. The dude had a daughter? Dude had a daughter. And he's a pedophile. It's in the records. And that's what they're using to gain sympathy for his death. So, in the course of investigating this incident, law enforcement reviewed and shared with your complainant multiple videos. Now, when it says complainant, that's the prosecutors. Okay, that's what that means. Multiple videos that appear to be recorded on cell phones. In the first video, a male who was later identified to be Kyle Rittenhouse. So Kyle is the shooter, is running southwest across the eastern portion of Car Source parking lot. The defendant is a resident of Antioch, Illinois, which, ladies and gentlemen, it's like 25 minutes away, okay? It's 25 minutes away. People saying, oh, he crossed borders and all that kind of stuff. So what? That would be like where I live up in central Texas. If Killeen is burning because of rioters and looters and all this kind of stuff, I would go from Temple to Killeen. It's the same distance from Antioch to Kenosha. All right, so it's not like he went. Hell, some people drive further to work every day than he drove to go to this protest. Okay, and there were people at the protest, which I'm going to go into a little bit later, who weren't supposed to be there either. So if one person's not supposed to be there because he's not from that town, well, then neither should any of the rioters. And most of them, according to law enforcement, most of the people that have been arrested up there are not from Kenosha. Most of the people that have been arrested for being violent are from other places. All right. The defendant is a resident of Antioch. So the defendant can clearly be seen holding a long gun, which was later recovered by law enforcement, identified as a Smith & Wesson AR-style 223 rifle. The recovered magazine for this rifle holds 30 rounds of ammunition. Following the defendant in these videos is Rosenbaum, and trailing behind the defendant and Rosenbaum is a male who was later identified as Richard McGinnis. I'm going to go ahead and get this McGinnis thing out of the way, because that one of the things that, remember, the second charge that he's charged with is first-degree recklessly endangering the safety of Richard McGinnis. So who is this guy? Who's Richard McGinnis? Because we haven't heard about him. Richard McGinnis is he's an independent journalist, or he's a journalist for somebody. But he's an independent journalist, and what he's doing is he's filming this whole thing. He's actually one of the guys that I was watching that night. This is why I was able to see this. He's one of the guys that I was watching as they were chasing. So you had Rittenhouse, then you had Rosenbaum, and then you had McGinnis filming essentially this chase, filming Rosenbaum chasing Rittenhouse. And McGinnis had interviewed Rittenhouse earlier that day as well, and had talked to him several times throughout the protest, along with other people who were there with their guns and trying to protect their community. All right, so that's who McGinnis is. Now, McGinnis is going to play a key role in all of this, and this is why it's weird that they're charging Rittenhouse. First of all, they're charging him with these homicides is absolutely nonsense. But the fact that they're charging him because of the fact that McGinnis was nearby, okay, and trailing behind. McGinnis didn't get hit with anything. McGinnis didn't get shot, nothing like that. He was just filming it, but apparently because he was so close to the shooting, they're now charging Rittenhouse with endangering that guy's safety. So it says the video shows that they crossed the parking lot. Rosenbaum, this is the guy that got shot in the head, okay? This is the guy that got air raided. And actually, I didn't realize this. He actually didn't get shot in the head. That's not why he died. So that's going to be news here probably. Rosenbaum appears to throw an object at the defendant. The object does not hit the defendant, and a second video shows, based on where the object landed, that it was a plastic bag. What the complaint doesn't say is what was in the plastic bag. Okay, were there bricks in there? It looks like there's a video that I saw that looks like he might have had at least, among some of the items, was at least a Gatorade. So we know there was at least a Gatorade bottle in there. Was it a frozen Gatorade bottle? Who knows? Was it bricks? We don't know. The complaint doesn't say. It just says it was a bag. It was a plastic bag. It doesn't even say if the plastic bag. I mean, it sounds like in the complaint, the object does not hit the defendant, and a second video shows, based on where the object landed, that it was a plastic bag. If it was just a plastic bag, it wouldn't have flown. It would have just been just floated down. Okay, you can't, even if you ball up a plastic bag, it's not going to go more than 2 or 3 feet. So obviously there was something in the plastic bag, but the complaint leaves it out there. But it's good because it does say that Rosenbaum is the initial aggressor here. This is why I'm saying this narrative is going to defeat the charges, just in the narrative. Rosenbaum appears to be unarmed for the duration of the video. A review of the second video shows that the defendant, which is Rittenhouse, and Rosenbaum continue to move across the parking lot and approach the front of a black car parked in the lot. A loud bang is heard in the video. Then a male shouts, quote, "Fuck you." And it doesn't say who the male was that shouted, "Fuck you." Then Rosenbaum appears to continue to approach the defendant and gets in near proximity to the defendant when 4 more loud bangs are heard. Rosenbaum then falls to the ground. Okay, so he got whacked. Four more loud bangs. Rosenbaum goes down. Let me tell you, as I'm reading this, okay, this is a 17-year-old kid. Now, I grew up around guns. I don't know if I'd be that good when I was 17, but I was on the rifle team. Maybe I would have been because I was on the JROTC rifle team when I was in high school. Um, and but this is a 17-year-old kid that we're talking about here, okay? So keep that in your head. So the defendant then circles behind the black car and approaches Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum remains on the ground, of course, and we see there's a video out there, another guy I was watching that ran up, and he's the one that got kind of the close-in stuff, because what McGinnis does is McGinnis kind of doesn't care about the camera anymore. He ends up taking off his shirt. I think it was McGinnis. Ends up taking off his shirt and trying to stop the bleeding from the head or whatever. They're trying to figure out where he was shot. The defendant appears to get on his cell phone and place a call. Another male approaches, and the defendant turns and begins to run away from the scene. As the defendant is running away, he can be heard saying on the phone, quote, "I just killed somebody." There are some that are saying he was calling 911. I haven't been able to confirm that yet. Some were saying he was calling his mom or a friend to get a ride. This almost makes it sound like he called a friend to get a ride. But either way, he called someone. He didn't try to like cover it up or anything. He was like scared. If he was a member of Self-Defense Fund, that's probably who he should have been calling, a Self-Defense Fund at this point. After you shoot a pedophile, the first thing you need to do, after you shoot a pedophile in self-defense, first thing you need to do is call your Self-Defense Fund, selfdefensefund.com. They are not, by the way, they're not sponsoring this video, so I'm not. All right, next paragraph here. Detective Sepris interviewed McGinnis and indicates the following. This is where McGinnis is... I mean, the fact that they're including this in a complaint, it boggles my mind why a prosecutor even filed this case. What you're about to hear is going to blow your mind. Before the shooting, McGinnis was interviewing the defendant, and just remember, for those of you that might still be joining us, it was Rittenhouse was being chased by Rosenbaum, and behind Rosenbaum was McGinnis, the journalist, okay? Basically following the action is what they were doing. Before the shooting, McGinnis was interviewing the defendant. The defendant told McGinnis that he was a trained medic. McGinnis said that McGinnis, has handled many ARs and that the defendant was not handling the weapon very well. This is the only part that kind of bothers me. All the videos I've seen of Rittenhouse, I didn't see him mishandling the weapon. As a matter of fact, he always had good trigger discipline. He always kept the weapon pointed down. Now, there were times where he was holding it, but he had really low on his sling. He had a single point sling, and the rifle was really low. So obviously, it was very hard to walk with that configuration, the way he had it configured, without holding the rifle. So the only sort of thing that I usually get a little nervous about is when anybody is just walking around with their rifle in their hands. Nothing wrong with it. If you want to do it, just don't threaten people with it. But I never saw him in all the videos that I have watched since and before. One of the things I noticed is all the people with the rifles understood muzzle awareness, understood trigger discipline, and understood where they were aiming their rifles, okay? And most of them kept their hands off their rifles, but there were a couple that were holding it. And I don't have a problem with that. I think the reason Rittenhouse was holding his rifle the way he was because it was just a terrible sling. The way he had it set up was just terrible, and you can't walk with it the way that he had it that way. So I don't know what McGinnis is talking about, saying that the defendant was not handling the weapon very well. I really don't know. I disagree with him on that, but he might have seen things because he was there that I haven't seen. McGinnis said that as they were walking south, another armed male who appeared to be in his 30s joined them and said he was there to protect Rittenhouse. Where it says defendant, I'm just going to say Kyle from now on because it gets boring if you just keep saying defendant. I'm just going to say Kyle. McGinnis stated that before Kyle reached the parking lot and ran across it, Kyle had moved from the middle of Sheridan Road to the sidewalk. And that is when McGinnis saw a male, Rosenbaum, initially try to engage the defendant. The defendant was minding his own business. Kyle was minding his own business, okay? And Rosenbaum approached him, quote, initially trying to engage Kyle. McGinnis stated that as Kyle was walking, I'm sorry, I just read that all over again. When Rosenbaum advanced, Kyle did a juke move and started running. So Rosenbaum approaches Kyle. Does Kyle shoot him? No. Well, there goes that narrative that he was just looking for a reason to shoot people. He could have shot him right then and there. Rosenbaum was aggressively approaching him. He had already had an argument with him, and you know, you've seen the video out there saying, you know, shoot me, nigga, shoot me, nigga, and I guess he did. But that's what Rosenbaum was saying, and those are quotes, by the way. So all of you social justice warriors, oh my gosh, he just said the N-word. It was a quote. That's exactly what Rosenbaum was saying on the video to Kyle and other people, including black people that were armed at this rally, okay? So when Rosenbaum, the first guy that got shot, advanced, Kyle did a juke move and started running. McGinnis stated there were other people that were moving very quickly. McGinnis stated that they were moving towards Kyle. So it's not just one, it's not just Rosenbaum that's running after Kyle, okay? There are many people, quote, other people that were moving very quickly towards Kyle, okay? They were moving towards Kyle. What did Kyle do? He ran away. He didn't shoot. He tried to extricate himself from the problem, which was Rosenbaum. He tried to get away. And at that point, when he said, you know what, I don't want any of this, I'm leaving, and he ran off, do you think Rosenbaum was like, okay, yeah, you coward, go, you know, I ain't gonna... No, he ran after Kyle. Ran after him. All right? McGinnis stated that they were moving towards Kyle. McGinnis said that according to what he saw, Kyle was trying to evade these individuals. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there. This is why I don't understand how you can say reckless homicide, well, intentional homicides later on down the road, but how you can say reckless homicide, okay? Their own witness, McGinnis, their own witness just said that the defendant wasn't trying, and all of these people out there, all of you leftists out there that are saying, oh, he was just looking for a fight, he just wanted to kill people, he's a white supremacist, he just wanted to kill people. He had perfect opportunities. He had several opportunities to kill people, and instead he ran. And in their own words, and their witness that they used to file this criminal complaint, the defendant was trying to evade these individuals. When Rosenberg advanced, the defendant did a juke move and started running. As the dead dude, the pedophile, was advancing, Kyle was running away, okay? He was trying to get the hell out of there. So anybody that says that Kyle, according to this affidavit, and the videos as well, but according to this complaint, he was trying to evade these individuals. McGinnis described the point where the defendant had reached the car. McGinnis described that the defendant had the gun at the low ready position, okay? Like I said, he probably had it that way mostly because he had a terrible configuration with his sling, and there's no way you can run with that rifle slung as low as it was slung. I mean, you know, I'm a short guy, but I'm actually taller than the dude who got shot in the head, but I'm a short guy, and so it drives me nuts that I can't use a single point sling because they just don't make a single point sling that doesn't like cut off my circulation because it's so tight or drags on the ground. Sorry, I'm a short guy, rifles are long, nothing I can do about it. So I usually have to go with a 2-point sling. There you go, there's my problems. That's the problem, my first world problems right there is the kind of sling I have to carry. McGinnis described Kyle had the gun in a low ready position, meaning that he had the gun raised but pointed downward. So he probably had it, let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. So he probably had it, you know, something like this, which actually he does because he says McGinnis stated that he stepped back and he thinks the defendant fired 3 rounds in rapid succession. McGinnis said when the first round went off, he thought it hit the pavement. McGinnis felt something on his leg and first thought and was wondering whether he had gotten shot. He didn't get hit by anything. It was, I mean, who knows? McGinnis was behind and slightly to the right of Rosenbaum in the line of fire when the defendant shot. McGinnis stated that the first round went into the ground, and when the second shot went off, the defendant actually had the gun aimed at Rosenbaum, okay? McGinnis stated he did not hear the two exchange any words, but yet earlier it said that someone yelled as they're in this place by the car, someone had yelled, "Fuck you." Now, I'm thinking it was either Kyle yelling at Rosenbaum or Rosenbaum yelling at Kyle. I think one of those two, or it could have just been somebody around there yelling it as well. But what I think happened is one of those two said it to the other, and we don't know who it was. McGinnis said, okay, so McGinnis was behind. So McGinnis stated that he did not hear the two exchange any words. McGinnis said that the unarmed guy, Rosenbaum, was trying to get the defendant's gun. Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear that? Did you? Nobody's been. Well, all he's done right now is fired a warning shot. That's all Kyle's done is filed a warning shot. But right here, it says, right here, the witness, the person closest to all the action, the one that saw everything and ostensibly heard everything, reported, and it's in the complaint. This is why I don't understand why they filed charges. Rosenbaum tried to reach for the defendant's gun. Let me quote, I'm just going to read it straight as it says here. McGinnis stated, this is a quote, McGinnis stated he did not hear the two exchange any words. McGinnis said that the unarmed guy, Rosenbaum, was trying to get the defendant's gun. If you come and get my gun, I'm going to shoot your ass. What happens when you grab a cop's gun? You either get your ass knocked out or you get shot. What happens if you grab anybody's gun? You're going to get your ass shot. So before he fired a warning shot, and then, again, he's already aggressing on him. McGinnis stated that the defendant pulled it away and then raised it. McGinnis stated that right as they came together, that's the Rosenbaum and Kyle, as soon as they came together, Kyle fired. McGinnis said that when Rosenbaum was shot, he had leaned in towards the defendant. So he's going after the defendant when he was shot. Let me read that one more time. Quote, McGinnis said that when Rosenbaum was shot, he had leaned in towards the defendant. Self-defense, ladies and gentlemen. Plain and simple. Their closest witness says right in their own complaint that it's self-defense on many instances. One, that he tried to evade, he tried to back off, and then when he was backing off, Rosenbaum started coming after him again. Then he did a juke move and started running away, and Rosenbaum continued, and then he ran over there and tried to grab his gun and then got shot. Self-defense in their own complaint. They've built into this thing. Rosenbaum is charged with, or he's charged with the negligent homicide of Rosenbaum, but yet his own complaint says that, that is self-defense right there. This is why I'm saying a moron could defend this case, but I'm glad they've got a really intelligent attorney in Lynn. All right, McGinnis said that after the defendant shot, after Kyle shot, he ran back towards the hospital, towards the middle of the road. Remember, the hospital's right across the street. That could have been good news. The hospital's right across the street from this little car lot where this happened. Where am I? McGinnis stayed and turned his attention to Rosenbaum. McGinnis stated that he then heard other shots really soon after. All right. So there's the Rosenbaum. That's the first two charges. So the first two charges we've just covered, which was reckless homicide, and we just saw that is self-defense, and then recklessly endangering the safety. Nobody was hurt, but that's going to go away as well. If it's self-defense, you can't charge him with recklessly endangering safety when you have to, when he's got justifiable self-defense, okay? And Wisconsin, by the way, has a very strong self-defense law, stand your ground law, all right? Okay. Now we're going to move on to the second one. So the, where do we go here? Here we go. I lost my place. Oh, that's because I went up a couple pages. There we go. Okay. The third video that the state reviewed shows that Kyle was running northbound on Sheridan Road after he shot Rosenbaum. Whatever. See you later, Jay. Goodbye. The street and the sidewalk are full of... let me start this over again. The third video of The third video that the state reviewed shows Kyle running northbound on Sheridan Road after he had shot Rosenbaum. The street and the sidewalk are full of people. A group of several people begin running northbound on Sheridan Road behind the defendant. They're chasing Kyle. Okay, now other people are chasing Kyle again. A person can be heard yelling what sounds like, quote, "Beat him up." Beat him up. And, yeah. Another person can be heard yelling what sounds like, quote, "Hey, he shot him." The state reviewed a fourth video that showed a different angle of Kyle running northbound. In this video, a person can be heard yelling, "Get him, get that dude." Quote, "Get him, get that dude." Then a male in a light-colored top runs towards the defendant. Remember, he's running away now. He's trying to get away, and people are chasing after him. This entire time, Kyle has been trying to disengage these thugs, these rioters, these terrorists. He's been trying to disengage from these people the whole time. And now he's still trying to disengage. Then a male in a light-colored top runs towards Kyle and appears to swing at the defendant with his right arm. The swing makes contact with the defendant, knocking his hat off. There's an assault right there. He should have turned around and shot that dude, whoever that was. The defendant continues to, and here's the thing. Let me stop there, because there are people saying, well, he had just shot somebody, so of course they're going to chase him down. But these are the same people that are saying Kyle's a vigilante. So that makes the people chasing after Kyle now vigilantes as well. So either vigilantes are good, which I'll tell you, if I see someone murder someone, I'm going to chase after the murderer. I don't have any problems doing that. But these protesters, these Marxists, these Black Lives Matter terrorists want their cake and eat it too. They want to say that Kyle and the militia people and all these, and the Boogaloo boys or whoever, they're vigilantes and they don't need to be out there with their guns. They're untrained, whatever, they're vigilantes. But yet, here's everybody chasing after a guy because he just shot somebody, like vigilantes. The swing makes contact and it knocks off Kyle's hat. The defendant continues to run northbound. So even though he had just been assaulted by somebody, he's not engaging the person that assaulted him. He's continuing to run. He's still trying to disengage. He's probably trying to get himself to a police officer. He's still trying to disengage. On the video, a male can be heard saying something to the effect of, quote, "What did he do?" Another male can be heard responding something to the effect of, quote, "Just shot someone." Then a male can be heard yelling, quote, "Get his ass." The defendant, Kyle, then trips and falls to the ground, okay? So we've still got all these disengagements. Kyle's still trying not to shoot other people. But remember, the leftist narrative right now is that Kyle went there looking for trouble. Kyle went there to shoot people. That's all he went there for. That's all he wanted to do was shoot people. He had plenty of opportunities. He had 30 rounds. He probably had 24 rounds after he shot those other rounds. So he still had about 24 rounds left. Let's see. So the defendant trips, falls to the ground. As the defendant is on the ground, an unidentified male wearing a dark-colored top and light-colored pants jumps at and over the defendant. This is the guy that tried to kick him in the face. And it looked like, and one of the videos that I saw, it looked like he actually did kick him, but I don't know, he might have missed. One angle it looks like he missed, and one angle it looks like he connected. But either way, the guy tried to kick him. He tried to do like this giant drop kick or something. There's a pretty cool still video of that. Either way, based on the sounds of gunshots on the video and the I'm sorry, I skipped way ahead. A male wearing a dark-colored top and light-colored pants jumps at and over the defendant. Based on the sounds of gunshots on the video and the positioning of Kyle's gun, it appears that he fires 2 shots in quick succession at this person that just tried to kick him. Okay? Again, self-defense. Someone just tried to kick him. Someone just tried to attack him, and he fires in self-defense. This is after he was already attacked, okay, and knocked down. It appears that the person was not hit as he then runs away from the defendant. A second person, who was later identified as Anthony Huber, approaches the defendant, who is still on the ground on his back. Okay. Anthony Huber. This is one of the so Anthony Huber. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me find it here. Is being made out to be a martyr again. You know, they're showing these great pictures of him and his girlfriend smiling, and what a happy little guy. And here it is. He was one of the most amazing people. He had so much love in his heart for this city while they're tearing it down. He took down an armed gun with nothing but his effing skateboard, and he took that effing bullet. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. One less loser. By the way, the guy has a rap sheet as well. One of which is strangling a woman. So yeah, he's such an amazing person with so much love in his heart while he's strangling women, right? Yes, there is a way to help Kyle. I'll get to that later. So they're trying to say that Huber was a hero, right? I can't find this thing. I was looking right away for the. I thought I had his rap sheet up, but I don't, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's not really that important. His rap sheet really isn't that important because remember, like I said earlier in the video, what someone does in their past, it doesn't matter. The fact that he had a past and that he was a douchebag and that he beat up women and strangled women means that I don't have any sympathy for the fact that he was shot. Okay, justifiably, by the way, because he was assaulted with a potentially deadly object, which is a skateboard. Let's go back to this. It appears that the person, a second person who was later identified as Anthony Huber, approaches the defendant, who is still on the ground on his back. Huber has a skateboard in his right hand. When Huber reaches the defendant, it appears that he is reaching for the defendant's gun with his left hand as the skateboard makes contact with Kyle's left shoulder. So he's grabbing at Kyle's gun and assaulting him with a skateboard, being a vigilante. So there you go. Kyle then fires one round, which can be heard in the video. Huber staggers away, taking 7 steps, and then collapses to the ground. Huber subsequently died from the gunshot wound to the chest. After shooting Huber, here we go. So that even says, so we've got the first one now. Okay, so this was Huber. Huber's dead, right? So that was the second charge. The third charge, which is first-degree intentional homicide. They charged him with intentional homicide because he defended himself. Because he had just gotten assaulted. Who cares who owned the gun? It doesn't matter who owns the gun. He had just gotten assaulted with a skateboard. And the guy was trying to take away his gun at the same time that he was being assaulted. Okay? That's self-defense. And it says right here in their own complaint that it's self-defense. So now you've got self-defense for the first shooting that's plainly laid out in the complaint itself, and self-defense in the second shooting, which is laid out. And by the way, the entire time, Kyle is running away from people, trying to avoid shooting people. Okay? So that was Huber. So after shooting Huber, the defendant moves to a seated position and points his gun at a third male, later identified as Gage Grosskreutz. Okay, this is the dude that now has elbow meat for an arm. All right? This is the dude that decided that, well, let me read this, and then I'm going to go into who Grosskreutz is, because I did some research on this dude. After shooting Huber, the defendant moves to a seated position and points his gun at a third male, later identified as Gage Grosskreutz, whatever his name is, who had begun to approach Kyle. When the defendant shot Huber, Grosskreutz freezed and ducks and takes a step back. Grosskreutz puts his hands in the air. Grosskreutz then moves towards the defendant, who aims his gun at Grosskreutz and shooting him, firing one shot. Grosskreutz was shot in the right arm. Grosskreutz, let me back up here. Before I read this next sentence, let me go back and read this sentence again. Grosskreutz moves towards Kyle, who aims his gun at Grosskreutz. Okay, but this is the point. Grosskreutz moves towards the defendant. Okay, so now we have yet another aggressive act of somebody moving towards the defendant, but he didn't just move towards the defendant. Grosskreutz appears to be holding a handgun in his right hand when he was shot. So now you've got a guy, Grosskreutz, who's approaching Kyle with a gun in his hand. So initially, after he shoots Huber, Grosskreutz brings up his gun and points it at Grosskreutz, or Kyle brings up his gun and points it at Grosskreutz, who initially goes like this and then goes towards Kyle. And that's when he gets shot in the arm, and he's got arm spaghetti hanging all over the place. Okay, and then he starts whining like a little bitch for a medic. Medic! What the hell? It worked in Call of Duty. Medic! And they're trying to like put a tourniquet on, and he's still yelling for medic while they're trying to put a tourniquet on his arm to save his arm to the best that they can do it. Now, who is Grosskreutz? Okay, Grosskreutz also has a history. A criminal history, but I don't want to cover his medical history or his criminal history. Grosskreutz, as it turns out, is a part of what's called the People's Revolution of was it Minneapolis? Let me make sure I got this right. Of Milwaukee. I'm glad I said that. Grosskreutz is a part of the People's Revolution of Milwaukee. If you're wondering what that is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a Marxist, communist type organization. All right. So if you look up, so that's a wing of the People's Revolution, or TPR. That's the Minneapolis chapter. Now, let me ask you this question: why is someone from Minneapolis, or I'm sorry, Milwaukee? Why is someone from Milwaukee in Kenosha? Because I mean, aren't we complaining that Kyle wasn't from there? Isn't the left talking about the fact that Kyle shouldn't have been there because he didn't live there, and so he had no business being there at all? So why is someone from Milwaukee in Kenosha? All right, and what I'm about to do here is I want to show you that is about 40 miles away. Kenosha and Milwaukee are about 40 miles away from each other. 44-minute drive. But from Kenosha to where Kyle was from, which is Antioch, Illinois, it's only 20 miles. So Grosskreutz, first of all, drove twice as far as Kyle did to get down there. Grosskreutz was there to destroy the city. How do we know that? Because that's what Marxists do. If you look at the TPR website, thepeoplesrevolution.org, you'll learn everything you need to know. But Grosskreutz was a part of that group. He had been interviewed about it. He talked about it. He was a part of TPR, this Marxist organization. Let me talk about their platform. Okay. Their platform is, first, they want a direct representation. They want a pure democracy, which in other words, we know it as mob rule. They want anyone to be able to vote. They want equal representation. They want to gerrymander things differently. I mean, gerrymander's been going on centuries, almost as long as we've had whatever. But here's the funny thing. They call for all party primaries to be open to all voters. This is how Marxists do this and create chaos. So if you're an extremely liberal Democrat, then you should be able to vote in an extremely conservative Republican ballot for the primary. This is what they want. They want open primaries, okay, so that anybody can vote, and the party is beholden to obviously whoever gets elected in the primaries, and now open to all voters, okay. So the Democrats want to vote in the Democrats want to select who their competition is going to be. That's what the Marxists want. This is on their own thing. Okay, this is on their party plank. Now let's go to this other section about. So they've got also here racial justice. So they go through this criminal. Here's what's funny. This is what's funny about all this. They're demanding all of this stuff. Now, ending the drug war, I'm all on board with that as well, of course. But of course, education, which they don't want like vouchers or anything. They want more money to be spent on education. They don't want to be teaching to the test. They want free college for all. Free college for all. That's one of their other things. And we all know that's a very socialist, Marxist push right there. They want to, they say that the American system of capitalism was built on a racist system of property ownership and wealth creation. And that creates a racist system. So they want to destroy capitalism. All right, this is the guy that just got shot in the arm, that got his arm blown off, okay? He's with the People's Revolution of Milwaukee. This is who just got shot. They want health care. It says it's a human right and it should be available to all persons, free and clear. Everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, doesn't matter. Free for everyone, okay? Reparations. They demand reparations. This includes returning the land to its native inhabitants. In other words, they want to destroy America and give it back to somebody. I don't know. They demand that all corporate entities that have acquired material gain and power at the expense of brown bodies fund those communities at a percentage that allows community control and development to be forwarded. Anyway, you get the idea. Grosskreutz is there. Oh, by the way, climate justice, of course. You've got an abolition of all fossil fuels and moving to renewable fuel. So, great Green New Deal type stuff. They demand a 15-hour minimum wage, and they go into complaints about how the fact they want 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave every year. 12 weeks, that's 3 months. They want people to get paid for not working for 3 months out of the year. Get paid a year's worth of money. All right. That's who Grosskreutz is, okay? I just want to let y'all know. As a freaking Marxist, these guys are the revolutionaries. These are the ones that are destroying the cities, and this is the guy that got shot. Getting back to the complaint here. Grosskreutz appears to be, Grosskreutz appears to be holding a handgun in his right hand when he's shot. That's where I ended. He then runs southbound away from the defendant, screaming for a medic, and the defendant gets up and starts walking northbound. The defendant turns around facing southbound while walking backwards northbound. So he's walking northbound, but he's walking backwards. He's facing the crowd as he's trying to, once again, extricate himself and get away. So he's walking backwards northbound with his firearm in the ready position, pointed towards the people in the roadway. All right. Oh, who's that? Hang on a second. Let me see. What was that? Curtis, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that. I just saw a big pink thing up there. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Dr. Kelly of the Milwaukee Medical Examiner's Office. Now, this is earlier when I started going through this complaint, I said I wanted you to think about this. This is a 17-year-old kid. A 17-year-old kid. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because of what I'm about to read here from the autopsy. Or at least, yeah. So Dr. Kelly of the Milwaukee Medical Examiner's Office conducted an autopsy on Joseph Rosenbaum. Now, this is the guy that everybody thought was shot in the head, right? Dr. Kelly indicated that Rosenbaum had a gunshot wound to the right groin, which fractured his pelvis. So that was probably that first shot, or the second shot. So you had the one into the ground, and then the first shot, which was the second shot that hit him. A gunshot wound to the back, which perforated his right lung and liver. A gunshot wound to the left hand, and a superficial gunshot wound to his lateral left thigh, and a graze gunshot wound to the right side of his forehead. So that blood that they were that he had coming out of the right side of his forehead he didn't actually get shot in the head. So this is news, because everybody thought he got shot in the head, but it was just a grazed wound. That's not why he died. He died because he had a perforated right lung and liver, and the fact that his pelvis was fractured. That's what he died from. But look, what that says is this 17-year-old kid connected on all 5 of his shots. This kid connected on all 5 of his shots: groin, hand, thigh, forehead, and back. That just boggles my mind. The 17-year-old kid, while being chased, while in a very stressful position, going backwards, people everywhere, connected on all 5 of his shots. And the fact that he connected on all 5 of his shots, it's not like other bullets were running all over the place. That's why I don't understand why they did this negligent claim against the reporter. If that had been a cop, none of them would have connected. He'd have had to shoot like 10 more rounds. Well, unless it's Blake. I mean, I guess they connected with all 7 rounds, but he was point blank at that point. Dr. Kelly also conducted an autopsy on Anthony Huber. Dr. Kelly indicated that Huber had a gunshot wound to his chest that perforated his heart, aorta, pulmonary artery, and right lung. So good job there as well, Kyle. Perfectly center mass shot. Destroyed the heart, the artery, and the right lung. So another well-connected shot there. Detective Antamarian spoke with Dominic Black on August 26, 2020. Dominic stated that he received a call from his friend Kyle Rittenhouse. So apparently when he was making the call, because a lot of people were saying that he called 911, that's who he was on the phone with. This says that Dominic stated he received a phone call from his friend Kyle Rittenhouse, the defendant, at 11:46, which is when the shooting took place, in which the defendant stated that he shot someone. And then it says the Detective Antamarian saw the defendant in person in Antioch, Illinois Police Department and identified the defendant as the shooter in the various videos. And then, so it says that your complainant, in other words, the state, is the Kenosha County District Attorney's Office, and the rest is just gobbledygook. It talks about who statements were collected from. So statements were collected from several members of the police department, the medical examiner's office. They were reviewed by law enforcement, the aforementioned videos, and then statements from Richard McGinnis and Dominic Black, who were eyewitnesses to the facts they relate, and then statements by the defendant, which were made contrary to his penal interests. So that kind of worries me. What really worries me is that Kyle was talking. This is a 17-year-old kid who just killed somebody, well, killed a couple people and injured others. Who knows if he knew how many people he killed at that point. But it says statements by the defendant which were made contrary to his penal interests. I would like to know if they made him aware of the fact that he needed an attorney. This is a 17-year-old kid. This is a minor. I'd like to know if he was even able to waive his rights as a minor without someone to speak for him. Now I know 17 is close to 18 and all that kind of stuff, but there's going to be some issues there as well. So he's got good attorneys, and I think these good attorneys are probably during the discovery phase are going to be able to weed into a lot of that. If he spoke against his interests and they were questioning him and they didn't read him his rights, or they somehow convinced him that he didn't need to have his rights, the whole thing can be thrown out anyway. But even if it's not thrown out, this entire thing is self-defeating. Okay. Now I'm going to put the link to this complaint if you want to read it on your own. I'm going to put it on the Open Carry Texas Facebook page. You can also find it. I don't even know where I found it. I think I was just doing a search when I found out that the complaint came in, and I don't know exactly. I might have gotten it straight from the courthouse because I just got the document open. I can't remember where I got it from, but I will upload this this document cloud link on the Open Carry Texas page. So it's facebook.com/OpenCarryTexas. You can get it there. And that'll be up in just a few minutes here. But that's the complaint, folks. That's what he's charged with. I'll just do the counts here. So he's charged with first-degree reckless homicide, first-degree reckless homicide for Joseph Rosenblum, the kitty fucker, first-degree recklessly endangering the safety of the reporter, Richard McGinnis, who was running with these guys. First-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon in the death of Anthony Huber. attempted first-degree intentional homicide for blowing the right arm out of Grosskreutz, who's now going to have to become a left-handed shooter if he ever gets out of prison or jail or whatever. Apparently, he was in jail too because he wasn't supposed to have a gun. First-degree recklessly endangering the safety of an unknown male, so the guy that tried to drop kick him, and so apparently he got charged with that, trying to defend himself against that dude, and then possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under the age of 18. And what the complaint itself says is the entire time, every single time Kyle shot his rifle, he was being attacked. Every single time. What's the left going to say about this? I just read you the complaint, and I'm going to post it so everybody can see it instead of read about it in the media when they do their as a matter of fact, I'm just going to do that right now. What the hell? I'm just going to put that up there, the link to this, so you can download it right. I hope this link works. So you can download this right now. Again, facebook.com/opencarrytexas. You know what I'll also do is I will also embed this onto the opencarrytexas.org website and put a link on the main page of opencarrytexas.org so that y'all can download the document there too if you don't have Facebook. Link to the criminal complaint against Kenosha hero Kyle Rittenhouse. All right, so it is now up on Facebook. You can get the link there. You should be able to download the document straight from that and read exactly what I read to you. But like I said, I think the complaint is self-defeating. If you look at this from, if you look at the self-defense laws in Wisconsin and you look at the homicide laws in Wisconsin, I mean, hell, if I were a defense attorney, I'd just quote that right there. And I mean, there's your proof. It's self-defense the entire way down. Every time he fired, and it's not only that, he didn't even go looking for a fight. Kyle never once, not a single witness said that Kyle started any of this. Every single time, it started with Rosenbaum. This thug Rosenbaum, this child kitty screwer guy, that racist as well, because he was throwing out racial slurs left and right, started the aggression, and Kyle defended himself, and that's what started off this chain of events that got these people killed. And each time, he was defending himself. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a few minutes here. If you've got questions here, okay, correct me if I'm mistaken. Okay, let me find out what that was about, Curtis. All right, unfortunately, if they have video already showing him shooting them, I'm not sure Mirandizing him is necessary. Well, here's the thing. It is necessary. Anytime you're going to question, because of Miranda v. Arizona, anytime you're going to question a suspect after a crime, they have to be read their rights. Now, if you just sit down and you start talking to them like, hey, you doing okay? You all right? Well, no, man, I just killed a guy. I mean, I went out there. I knew I was going to freaking kill me some commies. And you just start spouting stuff out. That's not protected, even if you're not Mirandized, because it wasn't, and this is a trick that the police use. This is why you should never speak to the police, okay? Because if they can get away with not having to Mirandize you, they don't have to Mirandize you. When they arrest you, they are not required to read you your Miranda rights. A lot of people say, oh, they just arrested this guy, this activist. I didn't hear them read them their Miranda rights. They don't have to. The only time they're required by law, by case law, to read you your rights is if they're going to question you or interrogate you, okay? So what they do to get around that is they try to get you off guard. They don't ask you direct questions about the case or the criminality or your side of the story. They just talk to you about other things and try to get you comfortable and try to get you to say things that you shouldn't be saying. All right? Now, a 17-year-old kid's not going to know that. But this is why you never, ever, 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 no matter how innocent you are, never talk to the cops. There's a great book. I don't feel like getting up because I'm kind of tucked under my table here, called The Right to Remain Innocent. Okay, I please go get this. It's a thin book. It's very easy to read. It's called The Right to Remain Innocent. Read that book. If you think that, hey, look, I didn't do anything wrong. I have nothing to hide. I might as well just talk to the police. I did everything right. I didn't do anything wrong. Read that book. He's got case after case after case of people who were in the right, did nothing wrong, but prosecutors were able to use their words against them anyway and make an innocent person guilty. Find an innocent person guilty and use their words against them. And then later the cases were thrown out on appeal. So never talk to the police, ever, ever, ever. So if they were asking him questions, if they were, Curtis, to answer your question specifically, if they were asking him questions, they were required to read him his rights. So if they asked him, why did you shoot that guy? And literally, if he had just said, well, because I didn't like his bald head, they can't use that against him because they didn't read his Miranda rights. Okay. But if they just said, what's your favorite sandwich? And you go, I killed that guy because I didn't like his bald head. Well, that can be admitted. And you didn't have to read Miranda rights because it wasn't directly pulled from the person. All right. Who was the guy in the parking lot chasing Kyle that shot into the air? I don't know of anybody shooting into the air. I don't remember that. Somebody shooting into the air. There were some guys with cameras. Michael, I'm gonna have to go back and watch those, but I didn't see that. I'm gonna have to go back and look again, but I don't recall anyone shooting into the air. I mean, you probably saw someone put their hands up as Kyle might have been shooting, and it sounded like, now he did shoot a warning shot, but he shot a warning shot into the ground. There was a warning shot fired into the ground. It wasn't into the air, if that's what you're talking about. Now, when he did that, someone might have been holding something in the air, and when Kyle fired that warning shot, it might have looked like it was that person. No, that's not it? Okay, I don't know. I really don't know. I know Kyle fired a warning shot, but apparently, according to this affidavit and according to the witnesses, the warning shot was fired into the ground. Yes, invoke your rights, protect your rights, defend your rights. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Why did Kyle stay to give his account? Oh, so here's what happened. After Kyle shot Huber, and after he shot the Marxist guy in the arm, yeah, please DM that video to me. As a matter of fact, I'm on Facebook now, so if you DM it, I'll probably see it. Or you're gonna do it through Instagram. Where are you gonna DM it so I can go see it? But as soon as he got up, the first thing that Kyle did was he ran to the police, who were about a block away. They were about a block away. He ran straight up to them. This is after shooting. Now there were three. Let me see here. There were three Bearcats, the armored police vehicles, and two police cars. Kyle ran up to the police cars. He had his hands in the air, and he was trying to tell them what was going on, but they yelled for him to keep walking, to leave. And so that's what he did. He left. He went home. He didn't flee. He just went home. Hell, if the police said go away, I would go away. Absolutely. I'm not going to stick around and go, no, officer, I just shot a man. All right, you need to take me in. The police just told him to leave. This is a 17-year-old kid, too. He's probably scared shitless. The kid was probably crapping his pants at that point. Okay, he's lucky to be alive. You could tell there was fear in his face. But even in that fear, he was able to keep his shot straight. Oh, okay, so it was Instagram? I'm sorry. Let me change this here. Oh, actually, I might have to do that on my phone. So the police told him to leave, but and I will say this too: the police probably did not realize what Kyle had done at that point. I mean, they probably just thought he was being chased via Facebook Messenger. Okay, they probably just thought he was being chased, and they didn't realize he'd killed two people and that he was the shooter at that point. And that's probably why they told him to move along. But the fact of the matter is, the police told him to move along, and that's why he didn't get home. He didn't flee. He didn't run away, just to try and hide and evade justice. He never did that. And that's why I think that's why they didn't charge him in this criminal complaint with fleeing the scene of a crime. because I think they know from all the videos that he tried to turn himself in, and it was the police that told him to leave. You know, get away, keep walking, is what they told him. And I think what the police probably thought was this guy's being attacked, and we've got to get between him and the mob. And they didn't realize that Kyle was involved in all of this at the time. Okay, so I understand both of it. So what this government and the media is showing us is that if you are forced to defend yourself with deadly force, quickly go hide and don't tell anyone. The first thing you should do, like I always say, is you should call your attorney. The first time, if you have to so much as pull your gun out, even if you don't fire it, if you have to pull your gun out in self-defense and then the guy stops and that's the end of it, you don't have to fire, he doesn't aggress anymore, you go your separate ways, call your attorney. Call your attorney, that's for, or like self-defense fund, USCCA, whoever you're a member of, call those people first. All right, that's the first thing you should do. All right, let me see if I can find this video. I wanted to watch this here real quick. Apparently, it's probably going to be to my other videos. Here we go. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah. So fourth video down. And I mean, I'm pretty much done for those of you that want to leave. Okay, so the first video is him turning himself in. Right there. I love that. I love that. Okay. Fourth video down. So there's 1, 2, 3. All right, let's see if this is it. Sorry, guys. I'm going to...
Oh, we got a gun, baby.
Okay, let me watch that again. Hey, so Michael, is it the video that in the thread? Is it the one that says at 23:19? Rittenhouse is seeing this YouTube live stream. Is that? Am I looking at the right video? An unknown gunman fires the first shot into the air. Okay, that's the right video. Let me watch this again, a little bit bigger. I've seen this video, but I haven't heard that narrative before.
White boys. Yeah, that's Antifa, man. Oh, we got a gun, baby.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see what they're highlighting there.
Oh, we got a gun, baby.
Okay. All right. You know what? Interesting.
Baby.
But okay, so here's what I think. I think the person who made that video, and it's just my opinion. I might be wrong. Okay, I might be wrong. But based off of the witness statements, and the other videos that are right there, because keep in mind, there's video that's right there showing him get shot. Okay, that first shot that you hear, because you hear one shot and then you hear four consecutive rapid shots. So that's 5 total shots. Remember, and what's his name was shot 5 times. Remember how I did the finger thing and showed you the 5 places where that guy was shot. So I think where the guy's got his arm in the air and that first shot is fired, I don't think that was somebody shooting a handgun. I didn't see a flash. And generally with a handgun, when it's dark like that, you'll see a flash out of the handgun. And it corroborates when he fired that shot, the first shot that the witnesses mentioned. And then remember, he fired the first shot, and then Rosenbaum kept going towards him, and then there was the FU, and then he fired 4 more shots as he was grabbing the rifle. So I just think it just happened to be coincidental that a guy he probably just had his fist in the air. Maybe he was doing a peace sign, maybe he was doing this, or maybe he was just putting his fist in the air, and it just happened to be when that first shot went off. I don't think this is what this guy in this video is saying it is. I'm gonna look at it one more time. No, I think he's just putting his hand in the air, and it's very only because of the narrative and the video, the videos that were at the parking lot, that were where the cars are, show that. And yeah, it is very grainy, but I don't see a muzzle flash. I didn't see a muzzle flash. So But I mean, I might be wrong. I'm not always right. Oh, sorry. Let's see here. Who shot the first guy, the headshot? That was Kyle. Kyle did that. Robert asked who. Who shot the first guy, the headshot? That was Kyle. And just so y'all know, I've been taking these skin cancer treatments. That's why if I look all splotchy, I've got skin cancer, and they gave me this cream that lights my skin on fire, but it only targets cancer cells. And that's why I'm trying to get all this stuff done before I actually start my next semester of law school here. Well, obviously I'm not going to have it done by tomorrow, but tomorrow's my first day for the fall semester. But I'm okay. I don't know if anybody was just wondering what all this red crap. It probably doesn't look as bad on the camera as it does in person. But I look like a leper in person because I got all these sores all over my face because this cream it targets the cancer cells and it brings them out, and then they eventually just kind of fall off. It's kind of nasty. Look like a leper or like I got AIDS. Just skin cancer. just skin cancer. Are the videos going to be on the Facebook page along with the complaint? I can. So if you go to my Instagram, and I know you don't have to have an Instagram, I don't think, to see Instagram videos, but if you go to Instagram.com/GrishamCJ, not CJ Grisham, but if you go to my CJ Grisham Instagram page, I have all the videos down there. Now, I've been doing a lot of memes, so you got to go down to like the 25th or 26th when all this was going on. And you'll see all the videos there. I don't think I'm going to upload them all onto Open Carry Texas. I don't really want to. I don't know. I'll think about that because I'd have to upload them all. But you can see them on my Instagram. Grisham CJ is my Instagram. All right. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? Other than that, I appreciate y'all being here with me. No, healthcare is not a human right. Deviate. It's not. Now, you have a right to care for your own health. There you go. But if you're going to force somebody to provide services, that's not a right. A right is something that is inherent, that is imbued in you. If healthcare was a right, nobody would get sick. And what I'm saying is that if it was a right, which is natural, then nobody would get diseases or sick. So no, healthcare is not a right. And it's not a right because in order for it to be a right, you have to take from someone else to give that right to someone. Healthcare doesn't just miraculously appear. Like, you have a right to self-defense, okay? And I have a right to use firearms in self-defense, but that doesn't mean that because I have a right to keep and bear arms, it doesn't mean that I have a right that they have to provide that to me for free. I have a right to defend myself and bear arms, but arms can be anything, okay? So I have a right to buy guns, just like you have a right to buy healthcare. Well, I would even say you don't even have that right, but, it's not a right. Nothing is a right to that you have to take from someone else, okay? Period. If you have to take from some to give to another, it's not a right at all. That's an assault. When you have to force people to give up their money, their talents, their products, their services, in order for that right to exist, it's not a right. That's why ghost guns, you making ghost guns illegal is unconstitutional, because if you're not allowed to make your own guns, then you're forced to purchase guns from other people. And therefore, that's your only access to arms that you have a right to under the Second Amendment. So, but I know Deviate's he's a Marxist, so I get it. In what legal capacity was Rittenhouse authorized to defend businesses with a firearm? We have an inherent right to self-defense and defense of others. There you go. And destroying property is an act of violence. Okay, because people don't know if there's people inside those buildings. One of those buildings that was caught on fire that CJTV went into because he was looking for fire extinguishers to help with one of these car lots, went into this building because it was actually, they broke, it's funny, I don't know if they unlocked it after they broke all the windows and stuff, but there's even he goes into the dealership and he goes back to where the mechanics stuff is in this live stream looking for fire extinguishers, and there's oddly enough, Metallica, the Four Horsemen, is playing on the radio in the bay where they work on the vehicles. So obviously somebody was there, and nobody knows if there's people inside these buildings they're setting on fire. So property crimes are violent crimes, and people have a right to defend themselves and their communities and in defense of others. So that's what right he has. That's what legal right he has. Some states actually codify that right. Some states restrict that right. I mean, in Texas, if you try to steal a stick of gum, I can shoot you. I wouldn't, but I can. I'm allowed to defend my property with lethal force if necessary. Sorry you don't like that. I know, Deviate, that you would just prefer that thugs and degenerates be able to burn down whatever the hell they want, but you don't have that right. But people definitely have a right to put a stop to it. All right? So I know you want everything to burn because you want to destroy this country, but we have a right to make sure you don't get your way. So, hey, Michael, you're right on Amazon. Oh, that's true. Yeah, you can, if you get a free trial to the Audible, you can read that Right to Remain Innocent for free. There's also a video, like a 20-minute video on YouTube called "Do Not Talk to the Police," that the professor has a speech about it, but it's not his. If he was asked to help or he was driving down the road and saw this, he always has a right to protect himself. Absolutely. Those killed by assault that you can't defend yourself. I'll tell those killed by assault that you can't defend yourself. Yeah, exactly. All right, I think I'm done then. I think I got all the questions in here. Where was the second shooting death on video? So that's the one where the guy with the skateboard, comes in right in the video. It's right after. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. As soon as I close this down, what I will do is I will upload all the videos I have on this channel. I don't really want to do that because as I downloaded them as they were coming across that night, as I was watching them, and I can't properly attribute them to the right people. Some of them have watermarks on them, but I can't properly attribute them, and I don't want to take them as my own if I put them up. But what I'm going to do is I'll just put some kind of language on there. I'll upload all the videos onto this channel after I close this stream, so that you can at least see some of the videos that I based my opinion off of that show pretty much everything. I think I have all those on my phone somewhere, because that's where I was downloading everything. All right, guys. Thank you, and thank you again for the donation. I really appreciate that. We had paid for, as a matter of fact, oh, hang on. The attorney. So if you go to I'm going to tell y'all where to go on Twitter. His attorney's name is Lynn Wood. This is the guy that defended. Excuse me. This is the guy that defended Nicholas Sandmann and got him like a $250 million payday from the media. But if you go to twitter.com/ and I don't have Twitter, so anybody can see this because I'm banned on Twitter. Twitter.com/L Linwood, so 2 L's, L Linwood, LINWOOD. So it's twitter.com/LLINWOOD. Linwood, L Linwood. You go there. He says, this is his attorney, and this is a good dude, man. Donations for defense of Kyle Rittenhouse should be made to. Here, I'll tell you what. I'm going to turn this around. There it is. Right there. Should be made to Fight Back Foundation, a Texas 501c4. And please be wary of any efforts to raise money for Kyle's defense. The website for the Fight Back Foundation will be online in 6 to 12 hours for donations. So wait about, and that was 6 hours ago. So between now and 6 hours from now, it should be up. This is Kyle's attorney, and there you can see the at LL Inwood, at L Linwood. This is his attorney, and this is, if you want to make a donation, don't give it to a GoFundMe or anything like that. This is the only official. This is where his attorney, the guy that is going to represent him, this is where his attorney wants the money to go. And I guess the Fight Back Foundation is going to pay for his defense. Okay, so that's where you send your money right there. I'm going to leave that up there for a couple seconds while you guys are looking at that. I'm going to see. Yeah, PayPal shut everything down. Fundly shut it down. GoFundMe shut it down. But yet, the Marxist dude with the People's Revolutionary Party in Milwaukee, they're allowed to have GoFundMes up for the dude that got shot in the arm, even though he tried to shoot Kyle with a gun. It's just he sucked, and the 17-year-old kid outshot him. So it's okay for the left to have fundraisers, but it's not okay for Kyle to have a fundraiser. Oh, Deviate. I've been working in the legal field just because I've only had 1 year of quote unquote formal education. Doesn't mean I don't understand how to read the law, dumbass. All right. If Kyle's statement was I was in fear of my life, would he be free right now? No, yes and no. It could be. It could be. He could be. It depends. There you go. There's my legal answer. It depends. Yeah, that's what he should have said. It only works for cops. All right. Are they charging? Yes. So apparently he's been charged as well. Hey, Eddie, whose live stream is on? All right. I'm going to actually close this because I don't want it to be too long. All right. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm actually going to be done. All right, guys. Let me turn this back around. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope it was educational for you. Again, go to Open Carry Texas on Facebook, and you will see the document up there. I'm going to close this down, and within a few minutes, I should have some of these videos put up, and so you can kind of look at all the different angles. And then I've got to get to bed because I got to be at school tomorrow. All right, y'all. Take care. Be safe and be free.